I am delighted to welcome you all, whether here in person in this wonderful courtroom or watching on screen from anywhere else in the world, to the swearing in of 5 members of the court, the new president, the new deputy president, and 3 new justices. It's a particular pleasure to welcome the Lord Chancellor and Lord Kakar, both of whom played a crucial role in making these new appointments. I'm also pleased to welcome the Attorney General, the Solicitor General, the Advocate General for Scotland, Counsel General for Wales, and the judges who are visiting us from overseas and elsewhere. It's a very busy day for you all, so we're grateful to you for joining us. The ceremony you are about to witness is a simple one, but it is nonetheless important for that. Each swearing in will begin with some brief introductory words about the person to be sworn in. Then that person will be invited to come forward to take the oaths required by the Constitutional Reform Act, which created this court. First, the oath of allegiance to Her Majesty the Queen, and secondly, the judicial oath, which you may have seen etched on the glass screen as you came into the building. We put it there to remind ourselves what we're all about. And you'll hear it 5 times, so it'll remind you about it. Then he or she will sign the oaths book, so that there's a permanent record of the oaths which have been taken. The 3 new members of the court will then be robed with the assistance of our chief executive. Each will be presented with their letters patent recording their appointment by Her Majesty the Queen. And they will then be invited to take their seat on the bench in their new roles. At this point, I shall hand over to Lord Mance for reasons that will become obvious.
I'm delighted to add my own further words of welcome to everyone who's here today, and to give a particularly warm welcome to Julian Farrand and the other members of Lady Hale, Brenda Hale's family and friends who are present with us. Lady Hale's swearing-in ceremony is a first in many ways. She was not only one of the first justices of the Supreme Court and its first female justice, but today she becomes our first female president. Indeed, the first female to head the UK's highest court in any of its manifestations at any time. She played a key role in the planning of this court in the years up to 2009, especially in relation to its art, furniture, and fittings. She contributed greatly to the blending of the historic features of the building with its Grade 2 starred architectural status and the requirements of a modern court. It is, as you can see, a very sculptural building, so she was a particularly well-fitted member of the court when some years later we had to consider whether the stormtrooper's helmet was a piece of sculpture or a mere work of artistic craftsmanship. I leave any of you who don't know the answer to gain such inspiration as you can from looking around the decoration of this court. Anyway, it's very much because of Lady Hale that we're having her inauguration in this setting today. Prior to her first appointment as a judge in 1994, she was an academic, indeed a professor, and then a law commissioner as well as a practicing barrister. Her route to the highest judicial office in the UK has therefore been a broad one, broader, it might be said, than the traditional one followed by most of us. It has provided her with valuable insights into many of the issues which come before the Supreme Court. Although her original specialism was family law and mental health law, she's made enormous contributions in other areas of the law. She's always been determined to promote the well-being of the Supreme Court, and in particular to ensure that its workings and its judgments are as accessible to the public at large as possible, a statutory word in the Constitutional Reform Act. Her wish to connect with non-lawyers as well as lawyers is plain from a fresh and engaging style in her judgments, as well as from her speeches and her lectures. She has been and is a role model for many, as well as a tireless promoter of women and other underrepresented groups in the judiciary and among lawyers. I've no doubt that Lady Hale will continue to make a very significant contribution to the jurisprudence of this court and the United Kingdom, as well as to its management and the management of the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council, which also sits in this building. Together with our judicial colleagues and the staff who so loyally serve the court, I very much look forward to working with her in her new capacity. Lady Hale, I invite you now to take the oaths.
I, Brenda Marjorie, Baroness Hale of Richmond, do swear by Almighty God that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors, according to law. I, Brenda Marjorie, Baroness Hale of Richmond, do swear by Almighty God that I will well and truly serve our Sovereign Lady, Queen Elizabeth II, in the office of President of the Supreme Court of the United Kingdom, and I will do right to all manner of people, after the laws and usages of this realm, without fear or favour, affection or ill will.
I now invite you to sign the oaths. I have great pleasure in presenting you with your letters patent. I now invite you to resume your seat on the bench as President of the Supreme Court of the United Kingdom.
It's now my turn to welcome you all to the swearing in of Lord Mance as the Deputy President of the Court. And a special welcome goes to his wife, Dame Mary Arden, and his daughter, Jessica, who are here today. Lord Mance had a distinguished practice at the commercial bar until he became a High Court judge in 1993, assigned to the Queen's Bench Division and the Commercial Court. He was promoted to the Court of Appeal in 1999 and became a Lord of Appeal in Ordinary in 2005, the next one after me, in fact, then transferring to become a Justice of the Supreme Court when this court replaced the House of Lords as the United Kingdom's final Court of Appeal in 2009. He was active in the parliamentary business of the House of Lords, in particular as chair of Subcommittee E of the European Union Select Committee, which sounds very boring, but actually was all about scrutinising proposed European Union legislation. Under the auspices of the All-Party Parliamentary Group on the Great Lakes region, he chaired a working group recommending changes in the procedures for enforcement of the OECD guidelines for multinational enterprises in 2006. And in 2008, he led an international delegation reporting on the problems of violence against women in the Congo. He's also been very active on the European front. He represented the United Kingdom on the Council of Europe's Consultative Council of European Judges from 2000 to 2011, being elected its first chair from 2000 to 2003. He's a member of the Judicial Integrity Group and the 7-person panel set up under the Treaty on the Functioning of the European Union to give opinions on the suitability of candidates to perform the duties of Judge and Advocate General of the Court of Justice and the General Court of the European Union. But his international activities are not confined to Europe. He currently chairs the Executive Council of the International Law Association and the Lord Chancellor's Advisory Committee on Private International Law. He's travelled with the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council to sit in both the Bahamas and Mauritius, and led the board which visited the Bahamas earlier this year, including inspecting a guard of honour with great aplomb. I've no doubt that he'll continue to make a major and much appreciated contribution to the jurisprudence of both the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth in his new capacity as Deputy President of this court. And I look forward to working closely with him in managing the judicial business of the court and the Judicial Committee. I now invite him to come forward and take the oaths in that capacity.
I, Jonathan Hugh, Baron Mance, do swear by Almighty God that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors, according to law. I, Jonathan Hugh, Baron Mance, do swear by Almighty God that I will well and truly serve our Sovereign Lady, Queen Elizabeth II, in the office of Deputy President of the Supreme Court of the United Kingdom, and I will do right to all manner of people after the laws and usages of this realm, without fear or favour, affection or ill will.
I invite you to sign the oaths book. Great pleasure in presenting you with your letters patent.
Thank you very much.
We now turn to the swearing in of the 3 new justices of the court. First will be Lady Black, and it is a particular pleasure for me to welcome, at long last, another woman member of the court. I hope it won't take another 13 years before we have a 3rd, 4th and 5th member of this court. But that's not the only thing we have in common. We both come from Yorkshire and spent much of our professional lives in the north of England, a region which has otherwise been underrepresented on this court. Unlike me, she also has the distinction of having been president of the Association of Lancastrians in London. Not quite sure how she managed that, though I think that her husband, Sir Richard McComb, might have had something to do with it, because I believe that he is a Lancastrian. Anyway, welcome to you and to the other members of your family and friends who are with us today. Yorkshire is not the only other thing that we have in common. Lady Black was a hugely successful specialist in family law while at the bar, taking silk in 1994. In 1999, she became a High Court judge assigned to the Family Division, where she took over the historic robes originally made for Dame Elizabeth Lane, the first woman High Court judge, then passed down to Dame Margaret Booth, then passed down to me, and then passed down to Dame Jill Black. She served as Family Division Liaison Judge for the Northern Circuit. She's been chair of the Judicial Studies Board's Family Committee, and she continued in that role until her appointment as a judicial member of the Judicial Appointments Commission in 2008. 2010, she was promoted to the Court of Appeal. She held the hugely important and time-consuming role of Head of International Family Justice until her appointment to this court, where she brings the number of justices who started their full-time judicial careers in the Family Division to 4, no less than a third of the court. Tells you something, doesn't it? Yeah. She's an author as well as a judge. Her publications have included catchy titles such as Divorce, The Things You Thought You'd Never Need to Know, and The Working Mother's Survival Guide. I wish I'd had that. Both examples of how family law has had such a great impact on ordinary people's lives. I now invite Lady Black to come forward and take the oaths as a Justice of the Supreme Court.
I, Jill Margaret Black, do swear by Almighty God that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty, Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors, according to law. I, Jill Margaret Black, do swear by Almighty God that I will well and truly serve our Sovereign Lady, Queen Elizabeth II, in the office of a Justice of the Supreme Court of the United Kingdom, and I will do right to all manner of people after the laws and usages of this realm, without fear or favour, affection or ill will.
I now invite you to sign the oaths book. I'll present you with your letters patent. Next to be sworn in will be Lord Lloyd-Jones. It's a pleasure to welcome his wife, Anne-Marie, and other members of his family and friends who are here to support him. Lord Lloyd-Jones is, of course, a Welshman, born and bred from Pontypridd, the first member of this court to come from Wales. Like others on this court, he's combined academic life with practice at the bar, being a fellow of Downing College, Cambridge. He became a recorder in 1994, served as Junior Crown Counsel Common Law from 97 to 99, and he became a Queen's Counsel in 99. He was appointed a High Court judge in 2005, assigned to the Queen's Bench Division. He's been a presiding judge on the Wales Circuit and was chair of the Lord Chancellor's Standing Committee on the Welsh Language from 2008 to 2011. He also served for many years on the Parliamentary Boundary Commission for Wales. He has a continued association with the training of barristers, as a member of the Council of Legal Education for 5 years, then as a governor of the Inns of Court School of Law for a similar period. He's a member of the Lord Chancellor's Advisory Committee on Private International Law, and he was Vice President of the Administrative Law Bar Association in 2012, the year in which he was appointed a Lord Justice of Appeal. In that capacity, he was chair of the Law Commission of England and Wales, the statutory body which promotes the reform of the law, from 2012 to 2015. During his term of office, the Commission published reports on subjects as diverse as insurance contracts, consumer rights, jurors' misconduct, and protecting wildlife. That was only a few of them. There are so many. And also updated its report on renting homes so that it could be implemented in Wales, which was wise enough to wish to do that, unlike other parts of the United Kingdom. Lord Lloyd-Jones thus brings the number of members of this court who have served on the law commissions of England and Wales or Scotland up to 4. So that's another third of the court. I now invite him to come forward and take the oaths as a Justice of the Supreme Court of the United Kingdom. And in another first for this court, he will take them in both English and Welsh.
I, David Lloyd-Jones, do swear by Almighty God that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors according to law. I, David Lloyd-Jones, do swear by Almighty God that I will well and truly serve our Sovereign Lady, Queen Elizabeth II, in the office of a Justice of the Supreme Court of the United Kingdom, and I will do right to all manner of people, after the laws and usages of this realm, without fear or favour, affection or ill will. Ar wy fi, David Lloyd-Jones, yn tyngu I ddiw hollallïog, a byddaf yn ffyddlon ac yn wir daergar yw mawrhydi y Frenhines Elizabeth yr Ail, a'i hetifeddion a'i holynwyr yn unol ar gyfraith. Ar wy fi, David Lloyd-Jones, yn tyngu I ddiw hollallïog, a byddaf yn gwasanaethu'n ofalus a'n harglwyddes Frenhines Elizabeth yr Ail, yn y swydd o farnwr y goruchaf lys, ac I ddelio'n gywir a phob math ar bobl yn ôl y deddfau ac arferion y deyrnas hon, heb ofn na ffafr, hoffter na drwg daimlad.
I now invite you to sign the oaths book. I have great pleasure in presenting you with your letters patent.
Thank you.
Last to be sworn in is Lord Briggs, and I'm delighted to welcome his wife Beverly, his father Captain James Briggs, and other members of his family and friends who are here to support him today. Lord Briggs brings much-needed additional chancery expertise to the court. He was called to the bar by Lincoln's Inn in 1978. He was junior counsel to the Crown in Chancery from 1988 to 1994, and from 1999 to 2000, he was chairman of the Bar Council's Law Reform Committee. In 2001, he was appointed Attorney General to the Duchy of Lancaster, a position he held until 2006, when he was appointed a High Court judge, assigned, of course, to the Chancery Division. He renewed his connection, however, with the Red Rose County in 2012, when he became Vice-Chancellor of the County Palatine of Lancaster, and thus in charge of Chancery business on the Northern and Northeastern circuits. The Supreme Court thus today acquires a further connection with the North of England. In 2013, he became a Lord Justice of Appeal and was put in charge of the Chancery Modernisation Review. From that, he moved on to the Civil Court Structure Review, published in July 2016, and described by Lord Thomas, the Lord Chief Justice, as detailed and innovative. Possibly your judgments are going to be detailed and innovative as well. Lord Thomas commented that completion of a review of this magnitude within 12 months is a considerable achievement, and I congratulate Michael Briggs on its depth and clarity of thought, which I'm sure will also feature in your judgments as a justice. In January 2016, he was appointed Deputy Head of Civil Justice, and since 2013, he's also been the liaison judge with the Personal Support Unit, which offers support to the ever-increasing numbers of litigants in person in our courts. Among his recreations, Lord Briggs lists sailing, and indeed he's known as a keen sailor, skills he's obviously put to good use in steering his outstanding career and achievements towards harbour here at the Supreme Court. I hope that he will feel that he has safely reached port and that the Supreme Court is not in quite such a need of innovative reform as the civil justice system. I invite him now to come forward and take the oaths as a Justice of the Supreme Court of the United Kingdom.
I, Michael Townley Featherstone Briggs, do swear by Almighty God that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors, according to law. I, Michael Townley Featherstone Briggs, do swear by Almighty God that I will well and truly serve our Sovereign Lady, Queen Elizabeth II, in the office of a Justice of the Supreme Court of the United Kingdom, and I will do right to all manner of people after the laws and usages of this realm, without fear or favour, affection or ill will.
I now invite you to sign the oaths book. And I have great pleasure in presenting you with your letters patent and inviting you to join us on the bench as a Justice of the Supreme Court. That concludes our ceremony. Thank you so much for coming today and for your attention. It's quite a historic day for the court, and it's good to have had so many to witness our proceedings, which have been, in our usual custom, live streamed via our website so that anybody in the world with internet access can access our business. We shall now process out of the courtroom for a group photograph. It would be very helpful if you could all remain here for just a few minutes until that is concluded, and we shall try and be as quick as we can. The court will now adjourn.